This is another Hang Loose Recluse couch potato investigation, as we're all couch potato investigators at the moment with the situation that's been going on in Queensland. And what I'm going to do is show you some screenshots from a news.com.au article that was written by a lady, Alexandra.Foster at news.com.au. Anyway, let's get into the things that I found fishy in this article, which I've circled in red, and you won't be able to miss them, and this is the points that I'm going to raise here. Here's one of them. Now, we'll go to the coppers now. The coppers rock up. Now, tell me, in the history of mankind, which copper have you ever witnessed turning into someone's house? Have they ever... So, I mean, I'll read this out and then you can try and be the judge of this. Mrs. McCrow and Mr. Arnold, which were two of the police officers, then honked their horn to alert the residents of their presence. When there was no movement from inside the house, the four officers got out of their cars and approached the house. For starters, for a missing person, a welfare check, 4 rookie police officers were sent out for a welfare check, and they got there and they tooted the horn. But when there was no movement from inside the house, the 4 officers got out of their cars and approached the house? I don't understand that. Tell me or show me in the history of mankind when police officers have rolled up to anybody's property, 4 coppers we'll say, and tooted the horn while they're at the front. Tell me, 4 people tooted the bloody horn. Why tooted the horn? Now, do police do that? Is that normal procedure? Do police just rock up to people's house when they're doing a welfare check and toot the horn and expect them to come out? But there was no movement, so, the 4 officers got out of their cars and approached the house. Something fishy about that. You do your own thinking, do your own critical thinking. Locals have also claimed that the Train brothers had been using methamphetamine and bragging about turning Gareth and Stacey's 2-bedroom home into a sort of bunker. Well, for starters, the locals seem to know so much about everything about a missing person. The guy was so missing that he must have been living a pretty normal kind of life and surrounding himself amongst locals for a missing person. Normally someone who goes missing just goes totally missing and no one knows anything about them. But if the police did their research, they would have probably found that they just knew people around town, so they weren't really missing, were they, now? The Daily Mail reported a close family member had told one local that the home had been moved completely off-grid, with the brothers installing solar panels, satellite dishes and rainwater and septic tanks. All right, so they knew where they were, but they're apparently missing. He said it had tunnels, fortified and barred doors and windows, guns everywhere, and the boys had been taking ice lately, the local from nearby town of Tara said. So that this is a lie in itself. Check out these lies. This is a fucking lie from the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail reported a close family member had told one local. Okay, so a close family member told one local that the missing person has been doing this, so therefore not a missing person again. Let's debunk this shit. And now it says here, he was last seen in Dubbo in December 2021, but serious concerns were raised for his welfare when he stopped contacting his family on October 9, 2022. But isn't his brother and his sister-in-law his family? So if he's living with his brother and his sister-in-law, then how is he a missing person? Anyway, Nathaniel was the missing person that police were inquiring about when they approached the Wimbilla home. I don't know if I said that right, doesn't matter. Just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. It's fucking dubious to me. It's very, very dubious. There's something not quite right about this. It's bloody wrong. There's some fishy shit going on in this. This article is very fishy. It seems like a narrative from the mainstream media to try and create a bullshit story to cause this division that they do in society. Like the thing that they've been doing. Suddenly all people who don't agree with mainstream media or the government are all likely to do what these guys did. They want to paint us all with the same brush. Anyway, what's happened next? So locals have also claimed that the Train brothers had been using methamphetamine and bragging about turning Gareth and Stacey's 2-bedroom home into a sort of bunker. So here we have a really extremely missing person, and the brothers had been using methamphetamine and all the town knew about it. So a missing person that's missing is known to all the locals in town, ins and outs of what they do with their recreational lives. That's just a bit fishy and a bit odd to me. Let's question that, guys. Start questioning what the media is writing here. I'm circling dubious little things here that I notice, and it's like, it just doesn't make sense. The fact that he was with his family, he was created missing. Now, check out this. But Margaret, a woman who rented the Wimbilla home 10 years ago, told the Daily Mail the relative of the Train brothers had told her they had fortified the house and built tunnels underneath with brickwork or blocks. What I'm going to say about that is, let's see the tunnels and the brickworks and the blocks and all that. From what I could see from the outside of the place, it didn't look too fortified to me. Maybe it was fortified from the inside, but let's check out the truth in that and let's see if the media resolves that bullshit. because they obviously haven't fact-checked any of this stuff. But neither have I. I'm just a couch journalist. Here I am. I'm on the couch recording this and just trying to give you a story and give you something to think about. Anyway, they're labelling us all the same. So they're trying to say that they're trying to paint us with the brush. The mainstream media's got their little narrative because they don't like any of us for having alternative thought because they want us to be controlled. It's a collusion with the government, mainstream media government, and they all work under the same tainted brush. And, they're just trying to find a situation where they can label everybody. And run with their narrative so they can try and shut anyone that has a voice or an opinion that is not the mainstream media, that does not align with the media and does not align with the government. They're trying to shut us all down. Anyway, you be the judge on all this sort of stuff. It's up to you to decide that and do your own critical thinking. But these are just some things that I circled to show that something is not quite right with this situation. It really doesn't make any sense to me. I can't understand it. You be the judge. Anyway, this has been another Hang Loose Recluse, Couch Potato Investigation Podcast. Thank you. You do the critical thinking, not the media, not the government. Don't let them do the thinking for you. Do it for yourself. Oh, but risk being labelled a conspiracy theorist and being painted with the same brush as these killers that killed cops, if that's what they did. We don't know what's going on in the world. We don't know what happened. But obviously, something bad happened. Something happened here. Obviously, there's going to be more involved in this. But anyway, this has been another Hang Loose Recluse production. Thank you.